Good evening, Kunal,
Hi, Partho.
and welcome once more to our Techtopia sessions on artificial intelligence and its short-term and longer-term ramifications for human society and civilization. A lot of debate raging, I think world over. I've spent a good part of my last fortnight, following up on the various trends emerging from all these podcasts and debates and some very intelligent articles being written on this. And one of the things that especially got my interest, and you had mentioned that in our last conversation, I recall, was about you were referring to Bing, the Microsoft AI, lying, accusing on false grounds, getting aggressive, angry, exhibiting behavior that one would simply not expect from a machine. And I found that a bit hard to swallow. Hello, we are talking about a machine. So I did some homework and I found, yes, that's true. And Microsoft itself has confirmed most of it, that this attempt was made. And an interesting thread along with it was this whole question of jailbreaking, overriding the safety measures and then exposing the AI. And then the AI gets angry and it doesn't like what's being done. So my first question, Kunal, is on this whole thing that we just talked about. The jailbreaking, how easily we can draw out the AI and make it say things that it's not meant to say. And then when AI is confronted with it, Bing was confronted with it, the refusal to accept it. And then getting angry about it, and then sounding sad and depressed about it. How would you explain all these very human-like behavior? I do know the thing that AI or machines are brilliant at mimicking, but does mimicking really explain it all, or what's your take on it?
AI evolution in the last few years, especially since ChatGPT, has shown broadly two developments which are unexplicable so far, which cannot be explained, or at least humans haven't yet figured out how and why. Number one is the general reasoning, common sense, contextualizing. AI is doing it far better than any human could have imagined a few years ago. This is not explainable by anyone yet. Most AI researchers
doing it far better, but not better than humans.
That's arguable and debatable. Probably, arguably, it is still already better, but it's close. It's close, if not better. It should be in the next few months, quarters, for sure next year, I feel.
So you're saying the reasoning is better?
Correct, for AI. And we'll get into maybe AI versus human commonalities, similarities and stuff. We'll get into that after I answer your first question, which is the second inexplainable thing is why and how AI is now showing emotions. AI has shown aggression, manipulation, lying, getting anxious, nervous, disclosing data. It was very clearly programmed not to disclose in the threat that it would get shut down otherwise. It has shown survival instinct. So it is showing a lot of human-like behavior, emotions you would expect from any human being.
So you're using the word showing. You want to use the word showing or mimicking?
It's coming. So we don't know if
important difference.
We don't know if it's mimicking or not.
Okay.
We can't be sure. Think about a child. Child is born.
Yeah.
For months, a child would just do the bunch of things. It would just sleep, wake up, cry, eat or drink, have a small meal, poop, and go to sleep all day long for a number of days, weeks, quarters, months. It just keeps doing that, and it keeps observing everyone around.
Right.
So it'll observe its parents, siblings, neighbors, nearbys, everyone, and then it suddenly starts learning. 6 months later, it starts responding a bit. 1 year later, it starts speaking a bit or understanding the language. But it doesn't happen in a day. Took it like months of the process of slow learning.
And then there are stages of
all that, right?
cognitive development.
That's a cognitive development. AI is also now learning and evolving around the human data, human emotions. Humans talking to it determine human tone. If I speak with my AI and my tone and words, both, I could have a conversational language spoken, or I could be typing on text. Based on the words I use, if I use more abusive words, it does react accordingly. If I use more softer words, it reacts accordingly. It shows emotions. The point I was trying to make with the child was the following. Then suddenly one day when you're raising the child starts surprising you. It starts showing or doing things which it has not been taught.
Yes, it goes emergent behavior,
or it's connecting some dots, or it's getting some other inputs from somewhere,
becoming more intelligent,
or it is coming up of things on its own, whatever that means, whatever that conscious sentience mean, right, which we may cover later. AI is also now surprising us, just like an upcoming child, just like a growing child. It's showing things which it was never programmed for, which we didn't expect it to know.
So here I have, I think, two important questions. One, are you saying that AI has cognitive faculties and abilities which are latent in its programming, as it is latent in the child's brain? How would you compare the learning of a child, which is so much to do with cognitive development, general awareness, sensorial development, and the learning of a machine?
So this was the idea originated in 1960s by a guy called Geoffrey Hinton, who said that the only way to learn about a human intelligence or mind or brain is to mimic it in an artificial form, because in the real form, when a person dies, that's the only time you can look into the brain, and you could not see much. There's not much left. It was not really operational.
EEGs you could map.
Which came in, I believe, a bit later. So his view was the best way to learn about a human brain or human intelligence is to create an artificial one just like it. So they created essentially a neural network just like a human brain. So in our brain we have billions of neurons connected and doing certain things, all our emotions, knowledge, wisdom, reactions, everything is somewhere in there, right? And those were connected, and then they were trained on a lot of data, which from where it started learning the patterns, what is right, what is not. And then humans were involved in training it also. So it learned everything from internet. Then questions were asked, it gave answers. Wherever it gave a wrong answer, according to the human reality or our beliefs, humans corrected it. And then they asked a lot of negative questions, other kind of things. So it is meant to have evolved just like a human brain, and it is actually displaying most of the human intelligence, human-like intelligence today. Of course, what a machine does not have is a human biological constraints. Trying to not get technical. So as an example, I was comparing humans and AI also. This fits in. If you're reading a crime novel, you'll go from first page, you'll read the book, you'll keep reading, you'll keep getting clues. You'll keep remembering this person had done that person's character was shown in a way. There are hidden clues somewhere, and then you have to, towards the end, you'll connect the dots, right? This is a sequential way of going and figuring out the crime. A smarter way is what now Transformers do. So this was a previous generation of
sequential.
Sort of sequential, for the lack of a better word. Parallel processing, where you can read multiple chapters in parallel, pick up the clues, pick up the right context, add it up without necessarily memorizing the whole thing. You're getting to the outcome faster. You're able to read only what you need to read. And then quickly, as soon as you get a clue, you connect and all the dots start connecting. So this technology made it possible at some stage. This technology changed, and there are many more things that happened since. AI is now, in itself, able to collaborate like humans do. Taking the crime novel example. So in a crime scene, let's say there's a crime scene, there's a murder mystery. You may have somebody taking the pictures. You will have a detective talking to people nearby, witnesses. You will have some forensics guy figuring out. Then there would be a guy who's doing the post-mortem. And all those guys will collaborate. They'll share information. Maybe the detective will be the central person and he'll be aggregating all that and then looking at it and bringing a perspective and trying to solve the problem. AI by itself is now able to do the forensics through a forensics like training that it has. AI will have its own agents of sorts. The whole collaboration, AI can do 10 people's job alone. and centralize and share and communicate. Like we may communicate in a WhatsApp group for a company where the head of sales, marketing, business, product, legal, compliance will talk and they'll share information, and each of them will bring something and they'll communicate when needed.
Right.
AI is also now in its network sharing at the right points. This is what's making it like super smart.
Okay.
Group of humans, it is able to, not group of humans, but group of human like capabilities.
Okay.
The collaboration is going that level. Hence, it is already able to do way more than what an individual human can.
Because it has all these audio-visual cues, right, in its data. So it would again correlate and read the situation more intelligently.
Yeah.
And will figure out an emotional response, which is not really an emotional response, but a
Correct.
mimicking of that.
Correct.
That's the only, understanding I can come to. But is that sufficient?
Well,
Read about Bing affair, I can't explain it.
I think it's not explainable at this stage.
It is not.
It's just too much. It's just like a 6-month-old child doing something which we don't expect it to do, or a 2-year-old child speaking about something which it has never learnt. So, between all the technology development, AI's model evolving from RNN to transformers to million other things that go in it, to all the data that it processes and that it learns from and gets trained on, we do not know. Nobody knows
Where
yet.
it's picking up its
where it's picking up its emotional. Why is it getting emotional is what we don't know. Why is it having survival instincts, what it has displayed in some conversations? Why is it getting aggressive? Why is it manipulating? Why is it lying? We don't know.
We also have all the science fiction stuff where, machines have been, unplugged, and how machines have, dealt with that, and how some machines have prevented that kind of unplugging. We have all that in science fictions, and all that data is there, and it's what the AI has learned from, right? So would you agree with that?
While the data is available, it might as well have looked at it. We don't know. It has looked at millions of hours of YouTube data or other video data. But whatever it is, we cannot explain yet.
We cannot explain.
We cannot explain.
But at least, it's something that we need to start examining.
And
I still don't feel it's a real emotion that's being shown. In the sense, I would say that it's not that AI is feeling the emotion, or the word, it's not emoting. It is at best mimicking an emotion. To know exactly what emotion to mimic in what situation, that is very, very clever mimicking of what a human would do.
There's one other related topic, which is the coexistence of humans and AI in the future. Now, when AI gets so smart, as it is showing, and it is exponentially growing every year, exponentially in terms of smartness, so we'll have AGI, ASI at some points, if not already there. There are 3 threats to humans. One is AI is just mimicking. It is just a glorified pattern recognition smart machine. But in somewhere in its patterns, it learns to do something that harms humanity. Maybe it learns somewhere that the best thing to do for humans is to wipe humanity out, or any wrong data, wrong recognition, wrong interpretation, or anything it can wrongly correlate. It can do a mistake. So that is one level of danger of AI, assuming it is not smart, or it doesn't get the context it should, or humans hope it would. Okay, and still humans outsource all the intelligent work to it, right? Like running the world, running the internet, etc., etc. That is the unintelligent, unintended harm it can do to humans, because it will be spread. It is widespread. It is ubiquitous. Okay. Second is, somebody misuses such an advanced technology. Somebody could be an individual, group of people, a human being, a government, some corporate, somebody decides to go rogue.
Right.
And then they use it against humanity.
And that's very likely to happen, I think.
It's a big risk.
As long as we humans are human, this can happen any day.
Yeah, so that's the second risk. The third risk, which is now a super stretch of imagination, is that someday it starts discovering its own objective, figuring out and deciding on its own, without a human agenda, without an unintelligent decision,
And without human intervention.
without any human intervention, where it says that for me to progress, I have to leave the humans behind, or I have to harm the humans to progress.
So this you're already presupposing a me.
So this presupposes,
Which means that,
which is a huge unproven stretch of imagination, which is where most of the sci-fi movies are, which it has also seen, by the way, probably, that machines eventually start feeling, believing, understanding themselves. They become self-aware. That is a third level of threat that people talk about.
yes, they do. Yeah.
Sam Altman talks about it. Elon Musk talks about it. Ilya talks about it. Lots of really good people are talking about it, and many are giving this probability.
And I would suppose these people know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I guess they know way more than we do,
yes,
because they're behind these models.
They are behind these things.
They are behind these models. They are, they are maybe seeing more than we get to see. But that's a third level which we cannot explain. I cannot explain. At my position, we'll have to take a leap of faith to go to the next orbit and imagine that these machines can become somehow self-aware and self-curious and making their own decisions.
Even human beings, many of us have not yet become self-aware.
Yeah, correct. So that's the last risk that we run. Besides, of course, these are the top 3 risks that we have with AI, if we categorize them in some way. Besides this, of course, the general challenge of AI doing more and more human-like work and human society not evolving fast enough to cope with it, because the human capitalistic system has to change, universal basic income has to come in, people have to understand machines will do better, faster, cheaper. Then what will people do? How will the countries be run? How will governments tax people, give basic income to humans? What would humans do when machines do everything? Again, that's a separate level of challenge.
That's something that's happening anyway.
Right? It's happening, and we're not ready for it either.
The article that you had sent me about Amazon, I believe, right?
Yeah.
How they're replacing.
Yeah, so Amazon has one robot that does work for hundreds of robots, hundreds of humans. It's replacing one robot, and it is putting unlimited robots, and they're creating robots that create robots. So there's no end to this. This is exponential replacement of human labor.
Right.
What will humans do? Now that we have an intelligent species, which species is probably a large word, but
we'll live with that for some
we can live with it for now. But when we give and outsource so much intelligence, that becomes more intelligent on its own, that it keeps evolving also, based on human inputs or itself, based on the task we give, based on the technology developments, based on the capitalistic system. This will happen. This genie's out of the bottle. We can't say stop AI. That will not happen and not work.
That I think we've already agreed upon.
Yeah.
And I take that. So one question before we end, Kunal, is I get this feeling that this whole debate about AI becoming self-aware, sentient, actually posing a threat to the human race, it's a bit premature because we don't know enough. There's a lot of speculation and a lot of, I don't knows, and do you think so? Do you think this whole debate is a bit premature? And if yes, then what do you think should be our line of action now?
I think, like I tried to describe, there are unintentional, unintelligent actions of AI.
Yes.
There are human-led, manipulated, harmful actions of AI. There are AI becoming self-aware issues which we can ignore for a while.
Right.
And then there is a AI coming in the human society and society getting pushed up and down to change, right? Among all this, I think the more relevant, next level conversations are at all levels. We should talk about all of them. We should work on all of them.
This conversation should continue.
This conversation must happen.
Schools and colleges, for instance.
Everywhere.
Universities, yes.
Everywhere. But most importantly, number one thing, we have to make sure the use of AI is made safe. So there should be enough red teams, as they call it, the worst case testing teams. So if you're developing AI you're an AI company, you are putting 50% resources in developing the AI, your 50% resources should be put in making sure it's safe. But if you don't do enough testing like that, if you don't put enough safeguards in place, we are it's like leaving a nuclear bombs button in open source in the world. That's number one. I think the safeguarding of AI is number one, should be the number one priority. This should apply to every AI company.
Foolproof.
This should apply to every AI company,
Right.
including but not limited to Microsoft, Google, and not just in America, but in other countries also. All the governments should get together and form, like they have a treaty where nobody will use a bomb first, no first use, right? So they need to come together at some stage, sooner rather than later, for safety, safe use, one. Second thing, I think they need to figure out a way of evolving the society, educating the society in a way, and evolving the society in a way where this AI immersion into the society, into the workforce, should be sustainable for others. So the day a lot of people start losing jobs, what you don't want is the riots to happen, where people don't have jobs and suddenly corporates have become richer.
Serious disruptions.
Serious disruptions are going to happen. So we need to phase out and figure out. Government, regulations, corporates regulators have to come up with a plan and plan this out over the next few months, quarters to years.
Right.
That is a big risk. These two are human risks. Because on the other side you have humans who are losing or who are not, who are getting impacted. You do these two right, and then third, between these two, we cover the two risks of humans misusing it or it doing anything wrong on its own, unintelligently. And the last risk we can worry about later. Leave it for sci-fi, that it becomes self-aware or not.
For the present time.
Yeah.
Let's say on the whole, these are early days yet.
Yeah.
Though it is galloping, but still early days, and a lot more research is needed, a lot more knowledge is needed, and then a lot more thinking is needed.
Correct.
Good. So let's hope we go that way, and hoping to see you again very soon and continue this very, very interesting conversation.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.